How is making cuts on Medicaid programs?
Well,
how does that and how it affects the people who are at the lowest ranking when it comes to income? How does that help with the affordability crisis in America?
Well, first of all, that affordability and saving Medicaid, let's separate those. And only in DC is a 20% hike over 10 years a cut. So Medicaid funding will go up 20% over the next 10 years. The people who Medicaid were designed for, the pregnant women, the disabled, and families with children under 14 will be refocused. The able-bodied Americans are not vulnerable Americans, so a work requirement or a community service requirement, that's very popular with the public, and many state programs have that now.
Republicans often rush to defend Trump on TV, spinning his mistake as win. We expected Scott Bessent to do the same today, but he could not, especially when pressed about Trump tariff failure. He even threw Trump under the bus, openly admitting defeat in a surprising moment. If I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you have not already and enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way to supporting our work and independent media. Now watch this clip right here.
It might be popular, but it's not what the president promised. The president promised that there would not be changes to Medicaid benefits, and putting a work requirement is, by definition, a change to benefits.
No, there are no change in benefits. There's a change in requirements to get the benefits. And what we are doing, we are bringing back manufacturing jobs. We are bringing back working class jobs. By securing the border, we have already seen working class wages move up. So we are creating jobs. People can get off Medicaid and get a job that has good health care benefits, Dana.
In theory, that works, but I'm sure you've seen and heard a lot of the concern, including and especially from Republicans who are the most vocal in Congress, about the fact that those work requirements are going to be very cumbersome to actually prove, and it will inevitably force the people who need that Medicaid coverage off the rolls.
Well, first of all, the Republicans are not the most vocal on this. It is a group of Democrats who unfortunately seem to think that poor people are stupid. I don't think poor people are stupid. I think they have agency, and I think to have them register twice a year for these benefits, that is not a burden. But these people who want to infantilize the poor and those who need these Medicaid benefits are alarmist.
Dana Bash pushed back hard on Scott Bessent, calling out Trump Medicaid cuts that clearly kick people off healthcare. A fact Scott could not deny. He also failed when asked about Trump tariff deadline. First, Dana mocked Trump's failure to make deals, then Scott openly threw Trump under the bus. Let's start with why Trump art of the deal is falling apart. Now watch this clip right here.
When you talk about these letters and you talk about kind of the 90 deals in 90 days, or at least the president did back in April, so far that we've seen 3, and they're not concrete deals the way that we're used to seeing trade deals. They're frameworks. Mm-hmm. The president has a reputation, self-described deal maker. So why haven't we seen the kind of deals that he promised in the last 90 days?
Again, he didn't promise this, and when we send out the 100 letters to these countries, that will set their tariff rate. So we're going to have 100 done in the next few days. And
but that's not a deal, that's a threat.
No, that's the level. That's the deal. If you want to trade with the United States, this is.
But that's not a negotiation. That's just a
many of these countries never even contacted us. So that's the thing about being the deficit country, Dana, is when you are the deficit country, you have the leverage. These are surplus countries that they have exported more to us than we export to them. So we have the leverage in this situation.
I love how Dana casually mentioned, he gave himself that nickname. He created this persona all on his own. Nobody else really expects it or believes. But if that's what he wants to call himself, so be it. Meanwhile, Scott could not explain the absence of actual deal, and it only got more embarrassing as we have been reporting. Trump tariff increasingly looked like a hollow performance that was basically confirmed when Scott Bessent made this commitment right here.
Countries a 90-day pause on the sweeping tariffs he put in place back in April. That pause ends in 3 days. What happens on Wednesday?
We'll see. I'm not going to give away the playbook because we're going to be very busy over the next 72 hours. President Trump's going to be sending letters to some of our trading partners saying that if you don't move things along, then on August 1st, you will boomerang back to your April 2nd tariff level. So I think we're going to see a lot of deals very quickly. And, Dana, we're going to send out probably 100 letters to small countries where we don't have very much trade. And most of those are already at the baseline 10%.
But you said August 1st. Do you mean what's going to happen in August?
So the countries will get a letter saying that if we have not reached an agreement, then you will go back to the April 2nd level.
Starting when? On August 1st?
On August 1st.
Okay, so there's basically a new deadline.
It's not a new deadline. We are saying this is when it's happening. If you want to speed things up, have at it. If you want to go back to the old rate, that's your choice.
Trump's so-called deadline for tariff was just fake pressure. It's no gone, proving there was no real plan. His art of deal just means screwing, otherwise he and his allies profit. Trump doesn't care if tariff hard-working Americans. He only care about his own gains. Just like with his harmful budget cuts, Scott Bessent was called out on this too. And why this clip right here?
And who it helps. The Tax Policy Center says the majority of the tax benefits will go to Americans making $217,000 or more a year. The Yale Budget Lab says the richest Americans will see their income rise by nearly 2%. The lowest earning Americans will see their income drop by 3% when factoring in cuts to Medicaid and food stamps. You argue that the benefits will really be aimed at the middle class. How does that square?
Well, Dana, first, let's have a look at the Yale Budget Lab, because I was looking at their findings, and this week I actually went on their website. They're all ex-Biden officials, so I think we can discount everything they say. I'd encourage all your viewers to look at the composition of both the board and the staff, and it's just not right that what we have here is a middle class and working class bill that we are going to see wages accelerate, and we are going to see, just as we saw with President Trump's first tax bill, we are making permanent these tax cuts. And what happened in 2017, 2018 was the highest wage earners went from paying 37% of all taxes to 45%. So that's going to be permanent now. So permanently, the highest 10% will pay a higher percent of the taxes.
I should say that, taking the Yale Budget Lab aside, there are Republican senators who are worried about affordability and who this all is going to affect.
Look, I think affordability, safety, and growth are the three things this bill is going to generate.
Trump budget is the worst ever, a true Robin Hood in reverse, hurting the very people he promised to help. Sadly, some might only learn when they experience the damage firsthand, like losing healthcare job at local hospitals. In Arkansas, a hospital closed in a town that heavily voted for Trump, showing the painful reality. Democrats are trying to protect people, but they must see the truth themselves. Andy Bishop explained it clearly, and why this clip right here.
This law adds work requirements for Medicaid on those who are able-bodied adults. Kentucky Republican Congressman Hal Rogers says adding these requirements, quote, protects the longevity of Medicaid benefits for our most vulnerable population and adds integrity and strength to Medicaid and SNAP assistance. One of the first acts of as governor, yours, was to end Medicaid work requirements in Kentucky. Why shouldn't people who can work?
Well, Well, we want everybody that can work to work. And right now in Kentucky, we have the most people working, the most jobs filled, and the largest workforce in our history, and that is with our current Medicaid structure. That's because these work requirements really aren't about getting people back to work. They are about increasing the paperwork on everybody. That's the senior, because 70% of our long-term care costs are covered by Medicaid, and that's children as well, with half of Kentucky's kids covered by Medicaid. These work requirements aren't just for specific people. Everybody else has to check all the boxes saying they're not able-bodied. And what happens is when somebody misses that one box, they are kicked off for 6 months or more.
Governor.
Meaning families have to take that parent or grandparent in. It means they have to cover all those other costs. All this is more red tape meant to kick people who should get Medicaid off of Medicaid.
Governor, I just asked that very question to the Treasury Secretary about the increase in red tape, and his response is Democrats think poor people are stupid.
It's amazing. Listen, I know a lot of people on Medicaid. These are our parents with special needs children that could have never covered it otherwise. These are busy people, all working 2 jobs, all ready to support that child. And now, if they miss a deadline, if they miss checking a box, look at what happens. I mean, you can lie all you want about what's in this bill, but the numbers are the numbers. The predictions by the Congressional Budget Office are there. It's going to devastate rural health care, all while adding trillions of dollars to our national debt, and it's going to upend every state budget across the country. You know what's sad is that while Democratic governors are speaking out, we're not speaking out because we're Democrats. We're speaking out because we're supposed to be the best governors of our states that we can be. All these Republican governors that aren't saying a thing, where their rural hospitals are going to close, where they're going to see massive layoffs and people lose their coverage, that's pretty sad. You know, our jobs is to stand up for and represent our people, and I wish people would get back to that.
I trust Governor Bishar because he's great speaking to red state voter and explaining how their system are being hurt. His media appearances are crucial to reaching people who rely on these services even more than blue state do. We will keep spreading that message too. Thanks for watching this video, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop the blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I will see you soon.